It was a bad day for the Lakers yesterday. Not because of the loss of Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was a big loss, bigger than the loss that the Lakers took as a whole. The series is tied 2-2. Phoenix is for real. In the regular season, we could see them sharpening their armor. And now in the playoffs, they're a tough, hard-nosed, Chris Paul type of team. You can see his DNA all over the court. He had 18 points last night with 9 assists. Booker had 17. Ayton had 14 and 17. Bridge had 11. Jay Crowder had 17 points. Jay Crowder went 3 of 8 from the 3. Now, the Lakers are a bigger team, but the Suns, they shoot better. And without Anthony Davis, the big equalizer, LeBron might be exiting the first round for the first time in his life. You heard it here first. LeBron only had 25 points. Anthony Davis only played 19 minutes, but in those 19 minutes, he went 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He was 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He went 2 of 9 from field goal range. And he only had 6 points. LeBron James plus minus was a +6 with 25 points, 12 rebounds, and only 6 assists. More assists, you might have won that game. Because everybody else on the team, the starting lineup, Andre Drummond, the big disappointment, only had 10 rebounds. Is he injured? We don't know. 10 rebounds, 5 points. He's been really bad since he joined the Lakers. And I'm not really expecting anything out of him. I thought it was a good pickup, but turns out he don't run the play. He really don't want to play. That's why he was benched. Before he came to the Lakers, of course. Schroeder only had 8 points and 3 assists. What is he? A point guard? A shooting guard? Shooting guard / point guard? We don't know, but we need more points out of him. That's why we grabbed him, a general on the floor. We need him to be more of a Chris Paul. That might be asking a little bit too much. But Kyle Kuzma, you have been very average. You lived up to expectations. A very, very average player. He only had 11 points. For the whole season, let me check this out here. He's averaging 12 points for the regular season. 12 points per game. 6 rebounds and 1.9 assists. That's not good. That's not going to cut it. We have to do better. I want to see the Lakers move on to the next round. We all want to see Lakers, Clippers, but the Lakers and the Clippers are struggling. And speaking on Lakers and Clippers, let's move on to the Clippers and Dallas Mavericks. In the first 2 games against these guys, it seemed like it was going to be a gentleman's sweep Dallas Mavericks. Because Luka was looking like a man amongst boys. He was looking possessed. But it seems like the Clippers found a game plan against Luka. They calmed him down. The last game, Kawhi Leonard had 29 points. His plus minus was great, 27. Paul George plus minus was great at 19. He had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Kawhi had 10 rebounds himself. The role players played their role. They didn't do too much, you know. But the problem here is Luka Doncic. Last game out, he only had 19 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds. That's very pedestrian of him. But he did put up his usual 4 to 6 turnovers. He had 4 turnovers that game, a minus 16. Porzingis was a poor man's Porzingis. He only had 18 points. 18 points and 5 rebounds, no assists. Terrible. Very bad. The role players was terrible. Nobody over single digits besides Marjanovic. And he had 12 points. So that wasn't impressive. So now my prediction on these two, I think the Clippers got themselves together. They got in sync. And now they're ready to pull this one away and go on to the next round. Because Dallas Mavericks, they're good, but they're not better than the Clippers. And we know this. And if the Clippers choke again, this will be one of the most disappointing teams in the last 10 years at least. Speaking of the last 10 years or so, the New York Knicks finally makes the playoffs. They might be down 3-1 against the Atlanta Hawks, but the point is they made the playoffs, and we're proud of them for that. They won in my eyes. Julius Randle, he had 23 points last game. He went 7 of 19 from the field and had 10 rebounds. He was pretty good, but throughout this series, he hasn't been the Julius Randle of the past, the superstar Julius Randle that we've seen this past season. Derrick Rose had 18 points. RJ Barrett, I'm very proud of you. You had 21 points. They just don't have a lot of role players. They don't have good role players. The best role players they had was Obi Toppin. He had 13 points last game. Kevin Knox, he never had points. He never had stats, it seems like. Noel's knows he shut down. He played 15 minutes, 1 point. Now, the Atlanta Hawks, they've been on a tear, especially Trae Young. Trae Young, last outing, he had 27 points. He went 4 of 14 from 3. That's terrible, but he's shooting them. He went 9 of 21 from the field. He had 9 assists and only 1 rebound. Everybody else, Collins, he had 22 points. Everybody else seemed to be tamed besides Gallinari. Gallinari also had 21 points last outing. And Atlanta Hawks seems like they're going to have the gentleman sweep and move on to the next round. Sorry, New York, your song is over. Speaking on songs, it ain't over until the fat lady stops singing, and it seems like the fat lady has quieted down. The Brooklyn Nets are up 3-1 versus Boston Celtics, and they are blowing the Boston Celtics out left and right. Jason Tatum, he can't do it alone. He could only pull out one game with a 50-point game. He has to score at least 60 a game, and that seems impossible, but it's possible. Durant had 42 points. Kyrie had 39 points. James Harden, which is the MVP of that team, the glue stick of that team, the reason this team is going to the NBA Finals, he had 23 and 18 assists. Very efficient. He was plus 8. Kyrie was plus 15. Durant was plus 3. Very, very efficient, great chemistry. Now the role players, they pretty much did nothing. But these big three, they're so good, it doesn't matter who's the coach. Steve Nash, first-year coach. Anybody's getting the ring. Whoever coached that team. Now, Jason Tatum, he tried throughout this whole series. He showed us he's a warrior. He's a Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality type of dude, but he can't do it himself. He just can't do it by himself. Now, he had 40 points, but the rest of the starting lineup was a bunch of unknowns. Marcus Smart had 16. The rest of the team just really didn't do much. So, what do you expect? A bad outcome. Too many injuries. His Jaylen Brown, his sidekick, wasn't there. He's injured. I feel bad for Jason Tatum. He's really trying. He's showing that he deserved the big bucks, but he just need more help. He need more help. Way more help. And my prediction is the New York Nets are going to win the finals. And that's not a bold prediction. That's just a smart prediction. And it's funny how all three of them was injured throughout the whole season. And they all healthy during the playoffs. I like how they played the system. They're very fresh. James Harden didn't even play the regular season. He played a couple of games and popped up in the playoffs. Like, what? And we was talking about their chemistry. They have great chemistry on and off the floor. They're talking to each other. They communicate. This is the best group of guys that I've seen in a long time. And guys, that's it. That's your sports report. And I'm Jeremy Brown. And this is your sports.